My name is Elena Whitmore. The day my parents called me Heartless, my sister Claire was standing right behind them. Not looking nervous, not looking sad. She was smiling, confident, like she had already won. It's her dream, my mother said, her voice sharp. You have the money. Why won't you help your own sister? Because I knew Claire's dream wasn't built on hard work. It was built on the belief that someone else would always take the risk for her. I'm not funding it, I said calmly. My father's expression darkened. Funding? This isn't a business deal, this is family. Family, a word they only seemed to remember when they needed something. Behind them, Claire crossed her arms, playing the role of the wounded sister perfectly. You don't believe in me, she said softly. I did believe in her, actually. I believed she would spend money faster than she could make it. I believed she would expect someone to save her when things went wrong. And I believed that person was not going to be me this time. I hope it goes well, I said, but I won't be paying for it. My mother shook her head like I had said something disgusting. You've changed, Elena. You're cold now. Cold. Because I refused to be responsible for something I never agreed to. 3 months later, Claire opened her boutique anyway. 6 months after that, my phone rang, not with good news, with panic. It was my father. No greeting, no, how are you, just, Elena, you need to come down here. Need, not want, not please, need. I could hear noise in the background, raised voices, movement, something falling apart that couldn't be hidden anymore. What happened? I asked. He paused. It's the boutique. There's a situation. Situation. The word people use when the truth sounds too bad to say out loud. I drove there without rushing. I already had a feeling I knew what I'd find. The boutique door was locked, lights off. A notice was taped to the glass, seized pending investigation. My mother stood on the sidewalk looking pale. Claire sat on the curb with her face buried in her hands, crying. 2 police officers stood nearby talking quietly to a man holding a clipboard. My father turned when he saw me, and the relief on his face wasn't about missing me. It was about needing me. What happened? I asked again. Claire looked up, tears running down her face. They're saying there's missing money, she whispered. They said the accounts don't match. Not bad sales, not bad luck, something worse. My mother grabbed my arm. You have to help her, she said. Have to. Like cleaning up after Claire was always supposed to be my job. One of the officers looked over at me. Are you family? Yes, I said. He nodded. We're investigating financial discrepancies. Payments received from vendors don't match what was reported. Claire's shoulders shook. I didn't steal anything, she whispered. I just moved things around. Moved things. Money doesn't move itself. My father pulled me close and dropped his voice. They're saying it could become criminal. Could. But we both knew it would. My mother leaned in. You can fix this. You have the resources. Not, you have the right. Not, you have any reason to. Just, you have the means. So do it. Claire looked at me with desperate, fragile hope. Elena, please. The same sister who had smiled when I said no months ago. The same family who had called me heartless. I looked at her steadily. I warned you, I said quietly. My father's voice hardened. This is your family. Number. This was their consequence. And what they didn't know was they were already too late. 3 months ago, the same day Claire announced she was opening the boutique, I had made a phone call. Not out of anger, out of clarity. I called my attorney, Rebecca Klein. I explained everything, the pressure, the guilt, the way my parents kept talking about our investment, even after I had clearly said no. You need legal distance, Rebecca said simply. She drafted a formal document. It stated clearly that I had no ownership, no financial involvement, and no liability connected to Claire's boutique in any way. Copies went to Claire, to my parents, and to the bank financing her startup. They laughed when they received it. My mother called it dramatic. My father called it insulting. Claire said it was completely unnecessary, but banks don't laugh. Banks file. Banks record. Banks remember. Standing outside that locked boutique now, watching the officers move through the glass, I felt something very still inside me. My father turned to me again. "She could be charged," he whispered. My mother's voice broke. "If you just pay what she owes, they'll stop." Stop. As if money could erase choices. "I can't pay for something I have no legal connection to," I said calmly. The look on their faces changed, because for the first time, they realized I had already stepped completely outside their reach. They didn't accept it easily. "You're choosing paperwork over your own sister," my mother said, her voice shaking. Number one, I was choosing reality over a pattern that had gone on long enough. My father pulled me aside. "She's your blood. If this becomes criminal, it will follow her for the rest of her life." Follow her. Like consequences were something that just happened to people, not something people created for themselves. Claire stood a few feet away, watching me like I was the only wall standing between her and everything falling down. "How much?" I asked quietly. My father hesitated. 42,000. The number sat heavy in the air. "You can cover that," my mother said quickly. "It's nothing to you." It wasn't nothing. It was precedent. It was permission for this to happen again and again because someone always paid. "I won't," I said. Claire's voice cracked. "You're letting them arrest me." "No," I said. "You walked yourself here." The investigation ran for 2 more weeks. Bank records, vendor contracts, transaction histories. Everything Claire had handled was examined in detail. My name never came up once, because Rebecca hadn't just written a letter. She had formally documented my refusal, with timestamps and verification. Every institution connected to the boutique had written confirmation that I was not involved in any capacity. My parents still called daily. "You need to reconsider," my mother said one evening. "This is going to destroy her life." Her life, as if my years of building stability, while they dismissed it as selfishness, didn't factor in at all. Claire called once. She wasn't angry, she just cried. "They're talking about charges," she said softly. "Intentional misreporting." I didn't interrupt. There was nothing I could say to change what had already happened. "You could still help me," she added. "I could, but helping and rescuing are not the same thing." "I can't change their investigation," I said calmly. And in that moment, something shifted in her voice. She finally understood. I wasn't standing beside her. I was standing outside of it entirely, protected. The formal charge came on a Thursday. My mother called me minutes later, crying, "They're charging her financial misrepresentation. If the money isn't recovered, it could get worse." My father got on the phone next. "If the debt is settled, they may reduce the charges. You can still fix this." May reduce, not will. They were asking me to gamble my own financial stability on a maybe. "The bank already has documentation that I'm not involved," I said. "It's already on record." Silence. Claire spoke last. Her voice was small. "Why did you protect yourself like that?" The question wasn't angry. It was genuinely confused. She had always assumed I would absorb whatever fell. "Because I knew this could happen," I replied quietly. She didn't respond. Not because she didn't understand, but because she finally did. The resolution didn't come through me. It came through the truth. Claire's attorney negotiated with the bank. She admitted fault, agreed to a repayment plan, and avoided jail. Barely. The boutique was completely liquidated. Every piece of furniture, every clothing rack, every sign, sold off to recover what had been lost. My parents never asked me for money again. Not because they stopped thinking I could help, but because they finally understood I wouldn't. A few weeks later, my mother called. Her voice was quiet, different. "You knew," she said. "Yes." "You prepared." "Yes." She didn't accuse me. She didn't try to guilt me, because guilt only lands when someone feels responsible for something that isn't theirs. "I always thought family meant rescuing each other," she said softly. I stood by the window, watching the city move. Family also means telling the truth, I replied. Claire never opened another business. She found a job. She started over, slowly, carefully, and for the first time, fully within her own decisions. They had called me heartless when I refused to fund her dream. But the choice I made wasn't about stopping her. It was about making sure that when things went wrong, her consequences belonged only to her.